Hello, can you hear me?
Hi Ravi, Gaurav this side.
Hi, Gaurav.
Yeah, just one minute. Let me make you the host.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ravi. So you are the host now. You can share your screen and you can start the training.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Hi, can you see my screen? Can someone please confirm? All right, thank you. Thank you. So, good evening. My name is Raviraj. Um, so, I'll be your instructor for this Docker, Kubernetes, and the Linux training. Um, so, let me know if you have some issues with my audio or video. You can interrupt me at any time. If you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me. Um, yeah. So if if you need, if you want me to deliver this session in Hindi, I'm fine with that as well. No problem. All right. So this is the topic for right. But as so, in order to understand the Docker or Kubernetes or any open source technology, the first thing that you should know is Linux. Okay, I'll tell you why. Because everything is open source, everything is free. So every application, almost every application that is open source, would use Linux, as this is also a free operating system. Okay. Now the thing is, the concepts such as processes in Linux, file system or storage that is relevant to Linux are almost same in Docker as well. The most important part is, in order to troubleshoot any issue, okay, let there be Docker, Kubernetes, Jenkins, or any other tool, you will have to understand Linux, because that is going to be your base. You can understand the technology, but when you start troubleshooting, you will need some knowledge of Linux, at least basic knowledge such as how to review the log files, how to check the processes, because you will struggle a lot with this thing, how to check the storage file system issues. At least these things you should know. The second thing is networking. You should, if you understood these things, you will be able to troubleshoot any issue which is relevant to your any open source application. Moreover, if you go for any interview, for example, DevOps engineer, system administrator, SRE engineer, right? So this is the topic that is going to be come up: Linux and networking. No matter what interview you appear for, right? So they are going to ask you these things for sure, 100%. Linux and networking. If I have to give an example, if you go for any interview, for example, even in Amazon, they're going to ask you these questions. If not Linux, then at least networking. For example, other if I have to give you example of Red Hat, I have worked at Red Hat for some time. That's why I know they're going to ask you these things. The problem is, uh, no matter in which company you go, they have their own technologies, they have their own deployment strategy for any application, right? So they can't ask you questions on that technology, because you might know that, for example, you might have worked on Docker, but the company that you are appearing for the interview might use the ranchers, or some other containerization technology, right? So this thing, Linux and networking, is going to be same everywhere. This is going to be base, okay? So they can judge you on this thing. So make sure you know these things, okay? I'm not asking you to become expert in it, but at least we should know these things, because this is going to help you for the troubleshooting purpose. All right. So I hope why asking you, to go through this one. So this was not earlier the part of the stalker thing, but what I thought was, it's good to go with Linux first. We'll spend 2 lectures on Linux, so that you will get basic understanding. Uh, okay, and the after that, we'll start with the Docker. Okay, you can let me know if there are any questions. Uh, okay, everything is fine. All right. Yes, 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 yes. All right. So, okay, great. So, feel free to ping me if there are any questions. Okay. I hope this is clear now, right? Is there any question? Could someone please confirm? If not, then we will simply go ahead. Uh, no questions. What is the duration of course? Okay, just consider it for 20 to 25 lectures, including this 2 Linux lectures. The thing is, I can start with the Linux. I can start with the Docker. That's not an issue. But you should get some basic fundamental knowledge so that you will understand the Docker thorough. So that is my uh, that is my concept. 2 Linux lectures would be enough for Docker understanding. Yeah, I think that should give you the basic knowledge, right? If needed, we'll have some more lectures as well. So don't worry about that. The thing is, after every lecture, we'll confirm if this point is clear or not, and every other concept is relevant to the Linux, right? So if something is not clear, we'll check that thing again. Let there be Linux processors, Linux networking, anything, you know. So we'll check that. Over 2 lectures, yes, okay. How is it different from full stack developer in terms of salary? How it is full? You see, if the full stack means you should know entire IT stack. They will ask you to learn every technology. They will ask you to learn DB. They will ask you to learn networking. They will ask you to learn a 2 3 programming language, web development, right? Full stack means everything, right? So there is no restriction. I mean, sky is the limit for this thing. Okay, how it is different? Yeah, even if you start, even if you're willing to become a full stack developer, you will have to you will have to learn this Docker and Kubernetes, because everyone, almost every company is using the Docker approach, containerization approach to develop their application, each and every company. So this is going to be a must. Yeah, after a year or so, you will find that each in if you check the JD, the job description for this for this full stack or any Linux admin, or you know any job, the Docker, Kubernetes, AWS will be prerequisite in it. So you can't exclude this thing now. Docker and Kubernetes. Okay. So I think that should help. Salary, so this really depends on in which company you work for. If you go in service-based company, they won't pay you much. That is, they have their own criteria. If you go in product-based company, that will be purely depends on your knowledge. Try for AWS, they will give you a lot of money. Basic CCNA, CCNP knowledge is enough for Docker. Yes, that is more than enough. I'm a network security engineer. How this course would be uh, beneficial for me? There are few concepts in Docker, such as networking, Docker networking, Docker firewall, IP table. There are few things that are relevant to the this network security, right? So you will have to you will your role will be important in this one. This course will be cloud security. See, the thing is, any topic, which is part of this Docker certification. If it mentions security, then each and everything will be covered. Don't worry about that. I have experience of networking, but now new to Linux. Can we understand Docker? Make most of it. Yeah, don't worry about this. I'll take care of this part. Don't worry. Okay, no more questions. I think I answered each and every question right. I have one query. Yeah, done. Duration of course done. Three new messages. I am RN engineer. It's reliable for me or not? Of course, it is relevant to you. That's all. Yes, yes, yes. See, the thing is, if you're part of IT, you should have basic understanding of containerization technology. No matter what is your role, SRE, yes. DevOps, yes. Linux admin, yes. Network engineer, yes. Because Docker and Kubernetes has huge role that is relevant to the networking, right? So yes, you will have to understand this, because you will have to understand one thing. The software development strategy that you learned in your graduation was waterfall model. In software engineering, you might have heard about that term. So waterfall model, agile model, right? So that is bit extended now, and that extension is called as DevOps. So in order to start your career in DevOps, Docker is prerequisite. Docker, Kubernetes, the networking, Linux, everything. Is Docker used for security? No, but Docker has its own part of security. Is DevOps and Docker different? DevOps is altogether a broader concept. Docker is part of it, you can say. See, the thing is, this dev means developer, ops means operations. Operations team means all the system admins, all the cloud engineers, all the network engineers are part of this ops team, and this dev means the developer. So that is what I was explaining. Yeah, yeah. So just hold on for a moment, right? So I'll tell you what the concept of DevOps is. So earlier, the software development strategy was waterfall model, agility. Those were two very famous model, right? Nowadays, you know, uh, nowadays they have extended the agility. I mean, the agile model. They have modified it, and they came up with the concept of DevOps. In DevOps, what happens is the developers and the operations team, that is system admins, cloud admin, DevOps engineers, they work together for the software development and delivery, the process. So they take that collaboration, it points to the DevOps. So whatever technology you used for the development of product, will be taken care by this team, DevOps, dev and ops both. So Docker is one of them, and one of the very important. I hope this gave you much clarity. I'm working in telecom domain. Please give me some more information on this. What is the duration of today's class? It will be 45 minutes. Fees of this course, maybe the organizer can help you out with this question. I'm not the correct person, or I don't have any information about this thing. Fees for this course. Okay, so today's will be 45 minutes. So we'll uh, wrap it up by 8:20:25. Okay, so I think yeah. So we will still have almost 45 minutes in hand. Okay, let's start. Yeah, but feel free to ping me if there are any questions. Okay. So my main intention is to give you the Linux description, as well as I'll try to share the questions as well that will be asked in interviews. Okay. So the first thing is they will ask you what is Linux, you know. So you would say, okay, this is operating system. No, it's just not. So this is, if someone asks you what is Linux, tell them this is a kernel. Okay, they modified the kernel and then it became the operating system, right? So always, if someone asks you what is Linux, it's a kernel. Okay, so now you see. I wanted to correlate a few things. Uh, for example, the terminologies which you use in Windows and that are very which are similar to Linux. For example, in Windows, you call folder, right? Uh, this no, I have this data in this folder, right? So in Linux, we call it directory. Just execute the spelling, right? Just folder equal to directory in Linux. The first thing, right? The second terminology is drivers, right? In your, you might have heard this term when you use any new hardware. No, you just plug it in your computer. It doesn't work. Then you come to know, okay, this needs a driver, right? So driver is equivalent to module in Linux. सो मैं इसको हिंदी में बोलता हूँ मैं. लेट्स ड्राइवर. फॉर एग्जांपल आपने कोई गेमिंग के लिया माउस लिया, लेट्स से, राइट? तो विंडोज में आप उसको लगा दिया आपने, राइट? तो वो चलता नहीं है कभी कभी. तो आप क्या करते हो, उसके ड्राइवर्स इंस्टॉल करते हो, राइट? तो हर एक हार्डवेयर का जो भी आप रहता है, उसका एक ड्राइवर रहता है हर हार्डवेयर का. तो ड्राइवर क्या रहता है? डेफिनेशन. ये रहता है डेफिनेशन. डेफिनेशन एज इन आपने जो हार्डवेयर लगाया है वो ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम को कैसे समझेगा कि कौन सा टाइप का हार्डवेयर आपने लगाया है, कि ये माउस है, ओके, ये कीबोर्ड है, या फिर कोई कोई और डिवाइस है, लेट्स से आपका पेन ड्राइव. ओके, सो ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम को समझना चाहिए कि कौन सा हार्डवेयर अभी आपने कंप्यूटर को लगाया है, राइट? तो वो समझने के लिए हर एक हार्डवेयर का अपना एक ड्राइवर रहता है. वो ड्राइवर मतलब डेफिनेशन रहती है जिसमें लिखा हुआ रहता है कि ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम, आपका जो ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम है, वो हार्डवेयर को कैसे रिकॉग्नाइज करेगा. आपने देखा होगा कि एज सुन एज आपने ड्राइवर इंस्टॉल किया, आपका जो माउस कीबोर्ड जो भी है पेन ड्राइव वो चलने लगता है, राइट? सो वी कॉल इट ड्राइवर्स, राइट? उसको इसको लिनक्स में बोलते हैं मॉड्यूल और मॉड्यूल्स. मल्टीपल अगर रहेंगे तो मॉड्यूल्स, राइट? सर्विसेज का कॉन्सेप्ट विंडोज लिनक्स में सेम है, उसमें कोई फर्क नहीं है. ओके, नाउ द नेक्स्ट थिंग इज पार्टीशन. ओके, सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट पार्टीशन विंडोज में हम बोलते हैं सी ड्राइव रहता है, राइट? क्योंकि आप उस पर ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम इंस्टॉल करते हो, राइट? सो लिनक्स में सब कुछ सेग्रीगेटेड है. ओके, सब कुछ सेग्रीगेटेड है. एक पार्टीशन पे पूरा ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम नहीं है, राइट? उसका पार्ट वो सब अलग अलग पार्टीशंस में बिखरा हुआ है, राइट? बराबर, इट स्प्रेडेड आउट ऑन ऑल द पार्टीशंस, राइट? That's how. So I'll tell you what. Okay, those are some questions. I'm sorry. If I grab this course, what job I can do? DevOps engineer, SRE engineer, Linux admin, cloud engineer also. VM, LVM, will cover that also. Partition. So what I was saying is, yeah, in Windows, the important partition is the most important partition is C drive, because we install uh, operating system on C, or the other applications we also install on C mostly. Yes, you can install the other application on other drives as well, let's say DE, but by default we use the C. In Linux, it doesn't work that way, right? So I'll tell you what, if you know, boot. ये है कुछ partitions. TMP. Okay. OPT. USR. ओके, सो देखिए, अभी ध्यान से देखना ये चीज़. ये अगर आपको ये समझ में आया तो आपका फाइल सिस्टम का कॉन्सेप्ट जो भी है लिनक्स का, वो ऑलमोस्ट क्लियर हो जाएगा. अगर 100% भी नहीं, एटलीस्ट 30% आपको आइडिया आ ही जाएगा. ओके, तो ये जो दिख रहा है आपको स्लैश, ये वाला पार्टीशन, ये सबसे, ये इसको बोलते हैं मदर पार्टीशन और मेन पार्टीशन, आपको जो भी सही लगेगा। ये इस पे रहेगा बाकी सब पार्टीशंस। आप देख रहिए स्लैश 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 स्लैश, इसका मतलब क्या रहता है, ये पार्टीशन स्लैश में है, ये इसका पाथ है। रूट भी है स्लैश में, स्लैश होम डायरेक्टरी कहाँ है, स्लैश में। तो ये आपका स्लैश है, आपका मदर पार्टीशन। ये स्वैप अलग है, मैं आपको बोलता हूँ। स्लैश टेम्प, देखिए टेम्प का पाथ क्या है, स्लैश ओपीटी स्लैश, राइट। ये मदर पार्टीशन है, इसके अंदर हम ये सब बनाएंगे। ओके, तो मैं आपको बोलता हूँ एक एक पार्टीशन का मतलब क्या है, इसमें इतना क्यों है। ओके, ये देखने से पहले अगर आप देखेंगे, मैं देखिए मैंने क्या किया, मैंने इस डायरेक्टरी में गया, मैं सी डी चेंज द डायरेक्टरी, मैं आ गया स्लैश में, राइट। ये मैं आपको थोरो बोलता हूँ सब, जस्ट एग्जांपल दे रहा हूँ मैं, को दिख रहा है यहाँ पे बिन बूट etc होम लिब। ओके, हम लोग थोड़ा मॉडिफाई करते हैं एक एक, जो है ये रहेगा बिन, ये रहता है एस्पिन, दिस इज लिब। ओके, क्या बच गया, स्लैश etc। ऑलराइट, ये डायरेक्टरीज ये है आपके एक्चुअल पार्टीशंस। ओके, आई एम एक्सप्लेनिंग ऑल ऑफ देम। Okay, how can we explain OS for Linux and Windows? Linux is kernel. That's the only thing that you will mention at first place, and then you will explain the remaining things, right? Can you speak in English? Sure, sure, sure. Of course, of course. Okay. So when you install Linux, this partition will get created automatically. Almost all of them. Okay. This is the first. As soon as you make it, the others will create automatically. The important thing is the slash boot will have the actual kernel. Kernel is soul of the operating system. Okay, this guy kernel knows how to interact with the operating system and your hardware. Okay, so in layman's terms you can say this as a driver in layman's terms. Okay, don't quote me on this one, I'm saying this on in layman's term, because this will have understanding of your hardware and software both, right. So this is the kernel. Okay, see, I'll go to this directory. If I do, yes, you see, you, this is the boot directory. Okay, you see this VM Linux, this is your kernel. VM Linux, VM Linux, VM Linux. VM Linux is your actual kernel. If there is no kernel, your operating system will never boot, right. They will ask you question, my Linux system is not getting up, it's okay, it's not booting up, what is the thing. So in that case you can say them, is there Linux kernel available. If there is no Linux kernel available, your system will not boot. Okay, so this directory will have your actual kernel. No kernel, your system won't boot if there is no kernel. Okay, in 90% of the cases we would not interact with this directory because this is taken care by the kernel, unless you upgrade the kernel, you update the kernel. In that case only you will touch this, but 90% of the time we will not touch this directory or partition. Okay, so, and they will ask you also in an interview, what is the boot directory, or what is the boot partition, what is the significance, or what is the importance of this directory. So you will have to tell them slash boot will have the kernel in it, and using the kernel system will get up. Okay, so this is the important, one of the important questions. Now this is directory slash etc. Okay, we'll go inside slash etc. You see, this is the inside slash etc. You see, I can see all the applications that are installed on my this laptop. MySQL, okay, libvirt, that is my the virtualization, Okay, so the importance or the role of the slash etc directory is this will have configuration files of all the applications that you install in Linux. Configuration files of all the applications that are present or that are installed in Linux. Okay, so most of the time, if you have to configure any application, you will be interactive with this directory.
त्यानंतर सिंधुदुर्ग आणि गोव्यामध्ये मुसळधार पाऊस बघायला
So
मिळेल. रत्नागिरी
guys,
मुंबईपर्यंत मुसळधार पाऊस
can
शक्यता.
one
त्याच्यामध्ये
bit.
अहमदनगर पुण्याच्याही भागात तुरळक ठिकाणी मध्यम पावसाची शक्यता होती.
Okay, I have muted this guy. This news are going on on anyways, right? So this directory, see, for example, I'll give you one example. Let's say you installed an application. Okay, so that application's configuration file will be present in this directory slash etc. So for example, if you have to configure that application, okay, so you will have to go inside this directory and you will have to search for the application. Let's say I have to configure my Bluetooth. You see, there is a directory Bluetooth, right? Let's say if I have to configure MySQL, so I'll just go inside this directory MySQL, okay, and I'll see where is my configuration file. You see, this is the one. This is the one. This is the important one. MySQL dot cfg cnf, right? So these are the files. You see, everything is mentioned here. So likewise, you will get the different uh, application files in it. Okay. Now coming to this thing, this is the home directory of the root. This I should have mentioned earlier, right? In Windows, you say admin user, right? Log in using administrator, and you will be able to do everything, right? In Linux, they call it a root user. So I'll mention here admin equal to root in Linux. Okay. So if someone asks you to perform any administrative task in Linux, so you will have to log in using root user. In 90% of the cases, 95% of the cases, we do not recommend anyone to log in using root. You will get some special permission for your user ID. We say, okay, I have added this user in administrative group so that user can perform the administrative task, right? So with this, we have the similar concept. So everything is root, it belongs to the to the root user, right? So we will not touch this file. Home means, what home directory represents is whatever files that are belong to this user will be in his home directory. Let's say I added one user, let's say Raviraj. I added one user Raviraj, right? So when he logs in, he will be directly, he will directly get in this directory login. So whatever I have to do, I will have to do in this directory only. Home Raviraj, right? Let's say you added one more user, test one, right? So you will be there in this directory, home test one. Okay, likewise. So you see, home directory is for every user, but root is the admin, so he will have his home directory directly inside slash. I hope that is clear. Okay. Yeah. So next partition is home directory. Like I said, for each and every user, there will be a directory present inside home directory. Let's say I added one user, Ajay. So as soon as I add user, there will be directory created, home Ajay. And Ajay will have to perform all the things in this directory. He can go inside other partitions as well. That's not an issue. But this will be your playground. You will have to do everything in this directory. For each and every user, there will be a directory inside home. Okay, this is important thing. Swap. The swap means. Have you heard about this concept, virtual memory? Virtual memory. You can confirm this on chat. If not, I'll explain that also. Not an issue. Okay, no problem. So how things works is, let's consider you have a computer on which you see, you're facing some slowness. You will feel that, okay, my system is so slow, something is there, something is happening, right? In order to find out, the first thing that you will look is RAM. Listen to this thing carefully. This is the evergreen question that will be asked for every engineer. L1, L2, L3, L4, L5, whatever it is, they will ask you this question. I am experiencing some sort of slowness in the system. What are the things that you would check? So the first thing you will check is RAM. Okay. RAM is the first thing that you will check. If RAM is consumed, let's say more than 90%, right? Then you will have to troubleshoot this thing. Either kill some application or do whatever you want, and you will have to free up space, some space from RAM, right? So that your system will not be full. Okay. So why RAM is, I'll tell you why RAM. If you open any application, that application first gets loaded inside the RAM, okay, and then it is processed. Each and every application, Notepad, Zoom, any browser, let there be anything. If you have to access any application, that has to become inside the RAM first, and then you will use it, and then you will be able to use it or access it. Okay. So let's consider there are 10 applications that are already running. Okay. So each application will have its own pages. Okay, everything has pages, everything works in pages in operating system. I'm going very deep, but this is important for you to understand this thing, because this is prime question, as far as interview concerned. Okay. So in RAM there won't be application, but there will be pages of the application. Okay. Listen to my words. Each and every applications pages will be there inside the RAM. So if, for example, if your RAM is full now, and you see, okay, so many applications are open, right? So you will have to kill one or two application, so that your pages will go out of the RAM. Then RAM will get some free space and your new application will start running. Okay. So what happens is, let's say you have a 4 GB RAM, let's say, and it is currently almost full. Okay, let's say 3.5 gigs is already being used. Okay. And the application that you're trying to run, let's say, is a Zoom meeting. Okay. And Zoom needs more than 600 MB of RAM. I'm just giving you a rough example. Do not quote me on this one, right? So the concern is, the important thing is, you should understand the concept, right? So let's say you have a 4 GB of RAM, 3.5 GB is already being used. You cannot free the space, right? And the requirement is, you have to run a Zoom application, right? The Zoom application needs 600 MB of RAM. Just an example, right? So you think this will work? This will not work, because 4 GB is like around 401 GB, somewhere like that, right? So we are running out of space. We need some more space, right? So in this case, what happens is, what we can do is, the pages or the application pages that are not required, we can move it to some other uh, directory, right? Or some other place, so that we'll get some more space. So what I'm saying is, there are 3.5 GB pages, are already there in your RAM. I have to run one new application that is 600 MB. That is not going to work in this RAM, because there is no enough space. So what I can do is, I can simply move some pages or some files from your RAM to some other place, right? Let's say I know there is already browser is running, that is consuming 300 MB. I can just kill it. But right, in production, you can't kill something. So what you can do is, you can move some space from RAM to a new place, that is called as swap. Now, important thing, you cannot manipulate RAM. You cannot manipulate RAM means you cannot go and move the pages out of RAM to swap. You cannot do it, right? Kernel will do it. Okay. So this is where the swap partition or the swap concept comes in. So how it works is, the kernel will understand, okay, there's a requirement of application which needs 600 MB. So what he would do is he will move some pages or some files in layman's terms from RAM to swap. Okay, so he moved some space. Now the current consumption of your RAM is 3 GB. Now you have almost 800 900 MB free. So as soon as kernel moves the application from RAM to swap, you will get new space and you will be able to run that application, right? So what we have done is we just moved some data from your RAM to swap. Swap is nothing but a partition that you create on a secondary memory. That is your what to say your HDD, your hard disk. Okay, you can create swap. For example, you can create 2 GB of swap space, 2 GB of swap partition. Okay, so it means you will have 4 plus 2 GB of RAM in layman's terms, right? Okay, RAM is going to be 4 GB. There is no question in that. But but when RAM needs to be freed, then kernel will move some pages from RAM to this swap space. Okay. Now coming back to our example, my Zoom, right? We had to run the Zoom application, right? So I'm done with my Zoom meeting. Okay, I'll just kill the application, right? So I'll just kill means I'll just close out the application, right? So almost 300 MB will get freed automatically, right? So what will happen is the pages that had moved from RAM to kernel will be moved again from swap to kernel, from swap to RAM, right? So when RAM is running out of space, then things will move from RAM to swap and vice versa. So for that reason, we use swap. So swap will be residing on your secondary memory that you will have to create manually. Okay, it could be of anything, 4 GB, 5 GB. It's up to you. In layman's term, they call it double the RAM. Double the RAM. It means if your RAM is 8 GB, then you should create 16 GB of swap space. This is, you know, in layman's term. Okay, this is not the rule. This is not the thumb rule, but it's a good practice. This is applicable only if your RAM is 16 GB, right? Let's consider your RAM is 128 GB. You can't create 254 GB of swap, right? That is not feasible, right? I hope the swap is clear. If not, then let me know. I will explain it again. But this is very important concept in Windows and on Linux as well. uh, and this is prime question in your interview as well, any interview. Even if you're a network engineer, network security engineer, they will ask you, okay, when I perform any network activity, let's say I'm transferring a file that is going bit slow, what is it? Your SCSI cable has full speed. There is no other application is using that your network cable, the RJ45, whatever it is, right? There is no issue from networking side. Then what will you check? Then you will have to check the swap RAM, because if the system itself is slow, then it doesn't matter what kind of network medium you're using to transfer the data, right? So even if you're a network engineer, remember this thing, swap RAM. Okay. Let me know if there are any questions. Perfectly explained. Okay, thank you. Okay, all right. No more questions, guys. So we'll just move it with the remaining things. Okay. Okay. You can ping me afterwards also. Not an issue. Okay. Now, what is slash temp? Slash temp is a place wherein if you run any application, it would, it will perform calculations, right? It performs calculations. It performs some of the operations, right? So it will need some space, right, for the temporary operations, right? So this will be the place slash temp in which everyone will be able to write. For example, I'm using Zoom application. I'm just giving a rough example, don't quote me. I'm using Zoom application, okay? And that Zoom application has some things to do. It has to perform some temporary operations, right? To do any operation, to perform any operation, some space will be needed, right? So this is the dedicated space, wherein any application can perform its own temporary operations, right? This is slash temp is reserved for that, okay? To perform the temporary. They will ask you, what is temp, right? So you can tell them this partition is to perform the temporary application. It is global writable partition. Anyone can come and anyone can write here. No restrictions on it, right? You can tune it, that's not an issue, but it is globally writable by default. Okay. Now this is important. Slash opt and slash us are almost similar partitions, right? I'm coming back to the Windows. If you install any application on Windows, by default it gets installed in C drive, right? In C drive, or if you customize it, you can install it in D also, E also, right? In Linux, your application will get installed in either of those directories, either in slash opt, or in slash usr. You see, opt, the full form of slash opt is optional. That is slash opt, optional. So the packages or the application that you install will get installed either in opt or in usr. In most of the cases, usr will be used. Okay. So and this also has some extra functions to do. You remember we talked about modules, right? Libraries. So all those modules libraries will be present here also in slash usr. Okay. So that is the function of slash usr. You won't be touching this thing again, neither this one. Whatever you have to do, you will be doing inside slash etc, whatever it is, and in your home directory. Okay. Coming to this next partition, that has been, yeah, when you think about Linux, everything works in command, right? To do anything, there is a command, right? So have you ever imagined where these commands are located, right? So the location of the commands is bin. I'll show you. Let's say let me clear this one, slash bin. Okay, I'm in bins. All right. If I run, you see these are all the commands that you run. These are all commands. You will find your cd, mkdir, whatever it is. You will find everything in this directory. Now there are two things. Commands that are present inside your bin directory can be run by anyone, root user, admin user, or non-root node and admin user. Anyone can run it. This has basic commands such as ls, mkdir, and etc. These basic commands are present inside the bin directory. Okay. The next thing is sbin. Similar thing. Bin means binary. Okay. Binaries. The long form is binaries. Okay. So sbin is also the same thing, but the difference is, you see this s belongs to super user. Super user is root user. So there are some commands that should be run by root only. For example, create partition, delete partition. If I give permission to anyone to delete the partition, user will do anything, right? To segregate that, they got one more directory, that is sbin. So the commands that are present inside sbin directory only can be run by the root user, or any uh, or any user that has root permissions. That's it. No one else can run any command which are present inside bin directory, as bin directory. Okay. The last is lib. Lib is libraries. The full form of lib is libraries. Each and every application has modules and libraries. So those libraries will be present inside this directory. There is one more partition, the lib64. Lib64 means the 64-bit libraries, 32-bit, 42, 64-bit. Uh, you know, so what the 64 and 32-bit means, they will ask you this thing also, what is 64-bit, what is 32-bit, right? So the meaning of this concept is, I'll tell you what, in one cycle, how long, I mean, any instruction will be in, the instruction will be in 32-bit or 64-bit. In one CPU cycle, if you are able to compute that 32-bit instruction, then that is 32-bit. In one CPU cycle, if we are able to compute or manipulate the 64-bit instruction, that means it is 64-bit. Okay, remember this concept. Okay, so now I'm hoping that you might have got basic idea about what are the partitions in Linux, what are the important directories in Linux, in which directory, uh, which directory, or which partition, you how to work on it, how to manipulate them. I'm hoping that you must have got a basic idea. Okay, ping me, let me know if there are any questions. So this is the first thing that should be always discussed, when working on Linux. Okay, I can simply tell you those commands. Okay, this is ls command, this the okay, this will show you the list of things, cd to change the commands, right? But that doesn't make any sense until unless you don't know what you're exactly doing, where to run those commands, right? That is the thing. So now we have left with 5, max 10 minutes. So I'm just reserving this 10 minutes for the questions. Let me know if there are any questions. Okay, so I think we are good to go for today. Let me know if there are any questions, or if any concept is not clear. Please ping me. I'm open for questions now, because if I start the next concept, it will take more time. Okay, how can check in Windows, what is it? Could you please ping me? Can it be a session? Not sure. Please elaborate this one. What is the benefit to learn Docker and Kubernetes respect to network engineers? Okay, coming to you, sir. My question, Sumit. What is the question, Sumit? Please reframe it, please, Sumit. I'm coming to this question. Okay, I have it. How can we explain OS? I think this is done. I mean to know how can I deliver it perfectly. Sumit, I'm still not clear. I'm really sorry. If you could unmute yourself and you can speak, you know, well, no, I'll be, yeah, what difference between CPU and memory? RAM, memory means your RAM. Okay, memory means your RAM. CPU means the actual processors that are present in your computer. We call it core, one core, two core. You might have heard the terms quad core, octa core, right? So each and every computer can have multiple CPUs, two CPU, three CPU, four CPU, right? CPU is the entity which will actually process, it will process the request. For example, if you want to open an Zoom application, right? RAM cannot do anything. CPU will get that instruction. Okay, I have to open Zoom. CPU will process that. CPU means your processor will process that request. Memory means RAM. In RAM, your application will get processed. CPU doesn't have any memory associated with it. Okay, CPU will use RAM, and in RAM, your application will get processed or opened, whatever it is, right? I think this is clear. If not, then let me know. Amazing, sir. It's going to be more interesting. Yeah, sure, of course. But mobile location, do I have a number of S? What is this? Please, are you using jobs? If that is the case, then yes, yes, yes. Please unmute me. I'm sorry, Sumit. Just give me 1 second. I'll do it. What is Docker Kubernetes? Is this explained? I think. No. Okay, Sachin. What I told in the beginning of the session is, in order to understand Docker and Kubernetes, we'll have to understand the Linux first, because Linux is the basic. Linux is the base. On Linux, your Docker, Kubernetes, your Jenkins or Bamboo, whatever application it is, that will run on Linux, right? So Linux is the basic. We did not cover anything about Docker, Kubernetes. We'll be doing this day after tomorrow. Okay. Okay. I Sumit have to unmute you. Let me check. Where is Sumit? Sumit Singh. Okay, I think this is the only option I'm getting. Please check if you can.
हेलो,
Yeah, yes,
गुड
yes.
इवनिंग सर।
Good evening, good evening.
सर एक्चुअली मैं पूछ रहा हूँ कि एक्चुअली मेरा एक इंटरव्यू होता है एचसीएल में
Mm-hmm.
लिनक्स एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर के लिए, तो वहाँ पे मुझे क्वेश्चन पूछा गया व्हाट इज ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम।
Mm-hmm.
तो मैं उसको कैसे डिलीवर करूँगा परफेक्टली, मतलब क्योंकि इन केस
Mm-hmm. ओके ओके ओके। सो जब आपको कोई पूछता है व्हाट इज ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम, तो आपको यही बोलना है सबसे पहले कि ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम एक इंटरफेस है जिसको जो हार्डवेयर के साथ व्हाट टू से जिस जो इंटरफेस है बिटवीन योर हार्डवेयर एंड योर सॉफ्टवेयर, राइट? दिस इंटरफेस आपको बोलना है सबसे पहले कि ये है ऑपरेटिंग, ये सॉफ्टवेयर और हार्डवेयर के बीच वाला जो इंटरफेस है वो है हार्डवेयर। सी, अब मैं अगर आपको सिर्फ बेयर मिनिमम हार्डवेयर दे दूंगा, आपको तो बोलूंगा ये लो भाई, ये सीपीयू कैबिनेट है, यू कांट डू एनीथिंग विद दैट, राइट? यू विल हैव टू इंस्टॉल ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम ऑन इट सो दैट यू कैन यूज इट, राइट? सो योर ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम इज द इंटरफेस बिटवीन हार्डवेयर एंड योर सॉफ्टवेयर। ओके, सो आपको पहले वो बोलना है, फिर आपको यही बोलना है कि कर्नल एक आता है ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम के साथ, जो आपका पूरा ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम संभालता है एज इन प्रोसेसेस को, जो आपके जो भी रिक्वेस्ट है, जो भी प्रोसेसेस है, उसको सीपीयू तक पहुंचाना, फिर उसको डिकोड करना, वो उसका कंप्यूटेशन करना, वो सब कर्नल करता है, राइट? सो ये एक्चुअल में सोल है जो आपके रिक्वेस्ट जो भी है वो फुलफिल करेगा, राइट? तो आपको इस हिसाब से बोलना है। तो जब आप कर्नल वगैरह बोलेंगे तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि कोई और भी रहे, कुछ और सवाल आपको पूछेंगे इसके ऊपर। आई होप दैट इज क्लियर। इफ नॉट देन पिंग मी ऑन लिंक्डइन। मैं आपको वहाँ पे और अच्छे से बोल सकता हूँ क्योंकि हम अभी टाइम पे थोड़ा सा कम है आज। Hi bro. You belong to which profile? You also started career from networking. I started my career as a system admin. Then I moved in as a technical support. That is pure product support. Then I started with DevOps SRE for some time. Then I again started my career in technical support. What is the benefit to learn Docker and Kubernetes respect to network engineer, or why we learn Docker and Kubernetes? Okay, I'll tell you what. सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपमेंट जो पहला होता था वो इससे होता था पहले। वाटरफॉल मॉडल, एजाइल मॉडल यूज करते थे, राइट? तो वो भी इतना बेनिफिशियल नहीं लग रहा था इंडस्ट्री को, राइट? उनको थोड़ा और स्विफ्ट रैपिड एप्लीकेशन डेवलपमेंट मॉडल चाहिए था। तो डेवऑप्स भी का इसमें आया, पिक्चर में आया। जब डेवऑप्स आया तो डॉकर और कुबरनेट्स है, इसमें वो एक पावर है जो आपका एप्लीकेशन है। लेट्स से आपका अगर कोई भी एप्लीकेशन है वर्थ वो 1 GB का है, लेट्स से। ओके ओके ओके, प्लीज स्पीक इन इंग्लिश। ओके ओके, मैं रिपीट करता हूँ सब। ओके, नो प्रॉब्लम। So what I was saying is, in earlier days, the developers would use the waterfall model, agile model to develop the application. But nowadays, it has got a bit modified, and it became DevOps. Okay, and DevOps, the main goal is the collaboration, right? The developers team and the operations team, they will engage, they will work together. Okay, now I think now what has happened is, the application, let's say I have an application that size is 1 GB. Let's say I'm just giving a rough example. Okay, the size is 1 GB. And if I, if I containerize that application, then the size of the application will be reduced. It will become 100 and 200 MB max to max. Okay, I'm just giving a rough example. Okay, the size will be reduced heavily. So when you deploy that application in Docker containerization model, the containerization in the container or in the Kubernetes, it will have its own network. Okay, it will have its own network. Who will manage that network? Right, you will be the network engineer who will help the operations guys and developers guys to manage the networking and everything. It has very huge role uh, for the network engineers. Okay, don't worry about that. You should at least know basics of the Docker networking. I'm not asking you to become expert in it, but at least get some basic knowledge. That's it. What is the full roadmap of DevOps? Okay, see, I'll give you. See, okay, guys, I'm so late. I'm so late for a meeting. I'm just wrapping this up. Okay, so if you have to start your career, I'm just running, right? Okay, I'll take this question in detail tomorrow. If you have to start your career, you should know at least one operating system, that is Linux or Windows, either one. You should know networking. You should know one database minimum. Okay, you should know Apache if you're coming in DevOps. Okay, you should know one cloud. You should know one containerization technology. Okay, it could be anything: Docker, Kubernetes, OpenShift, whatever it is. Okay, so these are the basic things that you should have as a fresher so that you can start your career. Okay, uh, this is the thing, guys. This is the basic things that are required to start your career. No matter who you are, your fresher, your lateral, your experienced, right? You should know these things minimum. Okay, so this is your roadmap. As soon as you're done with this, you will get into the company. The company will tell you, okay, we are using this applications to work, right? So you will learn the applications there. These are the bare minimum requirement that is required. Okay, I will take this question tomorrow in very first 5 to 10 minutes, and I'll discuss it in very detail. I have a very important meeting at 8:30. I'm really sorry, guys. I'm really sorry. We'll continue tomorrow evening. If there are any questions, feel free to let the organizer know, or you can ping me on LinkedIn. I'll clarify it there. Okay, right. If hello. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Great. 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 So thank you for your time, guys. Have a nice evening ahead. Search for this my name, and you will get there is this is the unique name. You will get only one profile. Okay. Search for this one, and you will get the my LinkedIn profile. Okay. All right. So I'm really sorry for 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 this thing. What is name? This is my name, guys. Raviraj. Okay. Uh, okay. All right. Cool. So thank you for your time. Have a great evening ahead, and feel free to bring me if there are any questions. Okay. All right. Abhijit, Sangeeta, I'm just dropping the call. Will that be okay? Hello. Hi. Oh, okay. Okay. No problem. All right. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great evening.